This video is for you if you've ever bought into the belief that you need to criticize yourself, punish yourself, beat yourself up, or be hard on yourself in order to create a positive change or accomplish some task. Chances are when the inner critic is around, it actually has the opposite effect of moving you forward. And instead, it just makes it even more likely that you will continue to self-sabotage and get in your own way. In this video, we'll talk about where your inner critic came from, how it's hurting you even more than you realize, and 6 transformative words you can instantly apply instead, and why that's essential if you want to be happy. Hi, I'm Christine Earthhart, founder of Joy Potential, and my passion is helping people cultivate and awaken true and lasting happiness from the inside out. And I am so grateful that you are here. Chances are, if you are human, you are quite familiar with the voice of the inner critic, those negative, doubting, sometimes quite cruel internal messages pointing out to you how you're not good enough, how you messed up, or how you could have done better. And let me be clear and distinguish this voice from the wonderful and healthy and self-reflective part of us that is aware of our challenges so we can continually improve and grow. I call this our inner learner, and we want to keep that voice for sure. The inner learner is curious, kind, and excited about possibilities to grow. On the other hand, the inner critic is judgmental, harsh, and unforgiving. So let me ask you this. When has your inner critic been present and brought you joy? Never, right? True joy is this wellspring inside of all of us, and it flows best when we are connected to our hearts. When we are beating ourselves up, we're in our critical minds, not in our open, expansive hearts. Plus, not only does the inner critic rob you of your joy, in the long run, it wears away at your relationship with yourself. And it actually makes it even more likely that you're going to punish yourself, self-sabotage, and get in your own way. So just think, if you had a friend who was encouraging and supportive and loving, wouldn't you naturally want to go above and beyond to help them? On the contrary, if you had a friend who was continually criticizing you and pointing out to you all the things that you did wrong, wouldn't you be less likely to want to help them and more likely to blow them off? So this is exactly how it goes with the relationship that you have with yourself. The kinder of a friend that you are to yourself, the more likely you will be to do the kind and loving action that will help you achieve your goals, accomplish your tasks, and be true to who you are and pursue your dreams, whatever it might be. So even if it seems like it works in the moment to hate and judge yourself into making a change, it will not last, and it will eventually backfire on you. Did you know that according to the US Department of Labor, the #1 reason that people leave their jobs is because they don't feel appreciated? So it's no wonder when you don't appreciate yourself, you end up essentially abandoning whatever goal or task or positive habit you are trying to build for yourself. So if it's so ineffective, why is their inner critic so universal and noisy sometimes? Let's take a quick peek at 6 reasons why their inner critic is so prevalent in the human mind. 1, perhaps you got messages growing up about yourself, but it was based on the fears, confusion, misunderstandings of others. And even though these messages were not a reflection of you, but were instead a reflection of the people telling you the messages, it is now decades later, and you continue to repeat those messages inside of your own mind. 2, perhaps you have heard other people around you being critical of themselves, and you've mirrored that and internalized those messages for yourself. 3, maybe you've been praised for doing things one way, and so you automatically translated that to mean that you must be bad or unlovable when you failed to do those things. 4, perhaps you were raised in a culture or a religion where it was highly regarded to be self-deprecating, and self-love got smooshed into the same category with being arrogantly egotistical when they are radically different things. 5, maybe some things happened in your life. You didn't get the job, you got left out at school, you didn't make the team, someone broke up with you, whatever it might be. And you made that mean something about yourself that you have continued to play on repeat in your mind. And lastly, 6, our survival wiring is working against all of us because our mind wants to be a high alert for any perceived weaknesses, as our weaknesses suggest that there might be some potential threat and something that we need to be ultra aware of. So whatever the reason, somewhere along all of our lives, the inner critic is born. And unless we intentionally replace it with a kinder and gentler voice, it goes on taking up prime property in our hearts and our minds, where joy and love could be instead. So this past week, I was connecting with a dear client who wanted to get to the bottom of why she struggled to do the very things that she knew would be good for her. Have you ever had that experience? So you knew it was good for you, but you didn't do it. Of course, we've all had that experience. The first place that I checked in with my client is what the voice inside of her head was like. And it turns out, to no surprise, it was full of harsh messages that she was giving herself throughout the day. So it's no wonder she was struggling. I invite you to imagine for a moment that there are 2 teams. One team has cheerleaders on the sidelines who are continually telling all the players these awful things about themselves. The other team has cheerleaders on the sidelines continually pumping the players up, cheering them on, and building them up. Who is most likely to stick with the game, feel happier, and actually do better? So even if the harsh voice maybe it temporarily works for a few players who are simply determined to prove them wrong, it is nowhere near as effective, joy-producing, or lasting as being surrounded by these voices building them up. Just like I mentioned earlier that we all have an inner learner inside of us that we want to be continually nurturing, we also need to awaken and cultivate our inner cheerleader. This is such an important inner voice to actively grow, and it is 100% available and possible for all of us. And bear with me, if it seems like a funny idea to have an inner cheerleader and you could call this voice whatever you want, I promise you it is practical and efficient and effective, and it is backed by research. We need to cheer ourselves on. And it's not that we have to go around telling ourselves how amazing we are, although you are joyously encouraged to do that. I just realized that might feel like too big of a stretch for where you are. That's why for today, I have just 6 simple words for you to try on. Are you ready? You are doing a good job. You are doing a good job. Let that echo throughout your mind and heart. So what if you had that on repeat instead? You are doing a good job. So here's the thing, we tend to overlook and undervalue our strengths, our wonderful qualities, and what we did well. And we tend to overemphasize the areas we are weaker or that we didn't get it perfect. Chances are you are doing most of your life wonderfully. But because you are human, there will always be room for improvement for all of us. But the more you focus on everything you are already doing well, the more likely you are to actually keep growing and going and improving. Better yet, you will feel a whole lot better and you will cultivate a more kind and loving relationship with the one and only person that you will spend every moment of the rest of your life with, to focus on what you're doing well rather than all the things you didn't get done. So one last thing, if it seems selfish or self-absorbed to be talking to yourself kindly, I invite you to consider this, that it is this non-stop inseparable loop. Love in, love out. Kindness in, kindness out. Grace in, grace out. And I promise you, the more kind and loving you are to yourself, you will have even more kindness and love and grace to share with others. All right, so who is ready to replace the inner critic with the inner cheerleader? Not just for you, but truly for the greater good of all. And all of those critical thoughts that you have of yourself, I want to invite you to realize they are just thoughts. That's all they are, and you've gone on believing them. And you have the power to change them into words that uplift you, that nourish your spirit, and that bring you joy. And of course, there are all sorts of variations for how you can do this, and countless messages that you can give yourself, like, you've got this, you can do this. Whatever it is, I invite you to get started today and notice how much better it feels. And from my heart to yours, you are doing a good job. Thank you so much for watching and for everything that you are doing to bring more love and joy into the world. And if you are new here, please be sure to follow along and subscribe for new videos every week that are here to help you get unstuck, reconnect to who you really are and to the light within you, rewire your mind for happiness, and tap into your joy potential. Also, I'll go ahead and post a link below of a recent blog that I wrote all about this with some other tips for how to transform the inner critic into a voice that is encouraging and helpful instead, just in case that can help. Thank you so much, and I am sending all my love and blessings and wishes for an ever more loving and joyful relationship with your amazing self.